Did you want your breakfast? Are you hungry? Boys, sit. Excuse me. Oli, sit. Thank you. Ralph, sit. Ralph, sit. Thank you. Okay, let's go. Oh. This is the land of mistakes. I seeded salad and beets and tatsoi in here and reused some of the old lettuce. But this guy is weirdly dry. So let's water this one weirdly dry one. Oh, sweet potatoes, which way too early to start slips, but one had gone in the cupboard. So we didn't get any slips last year because we started too late. Now we started too early. And peppers for hopefully inside greenhouse, winter peppers at some point. And then a random sunflower that had seeded in my compost. Basil, pak soy, tatsoi, dill, celeriac, and cabbages that are ready to get planted. So I'm going to plant those out in the garden. In the cold, cold rain. We've already had our first killing frost, so I had to pull all the pumpkins. But yeah, it's been a couple weeks, but it's time for garden tour. Hello, cat. Do you also want your breakfast? More sweet potato slips. This is going to be a mistake. It's raining. I'm gonna plant transplants and try to do a garden tour. I figure wet hair and rain doesn't matter. So many little mushrooms in the grass. And angry chickens who want their breakfast. But yeah, it's a back garden. I took out the corn because it wasn't gonna make us corn. It did start to make little ears, but it wasn't gonna be edible. And I don't know that I can actually record this because it is starting to rain a bunch. Wet hair don't care, but fleece is a sponge. Take two. Trying to go plant some stuff after I feed the chickens. Now that the dogs are inside because they're wimps and they couldn't take it. While coming to get the chickens breakfast, I found a caterpillar in the greenhouse. So now I have to inspect all my brassicas because while we had a killing frost outside, we didn't have one in the greenhouse, which is how I still have pumpkins growing. And eggplants. And cauliflower and peas getting started. And my peppers are still going. Trying to get them to ripen. There's a little teeny eggplant that's coming. And yeah, my grapes are still happy. These potatoes are, I tried to give them more soil and move them in here so that they would go longer, but they didn't. They are very angry, so I need to harvest these. And I also have a bag outside that I need to harvest, but we need to have a dry day so that I can harvest them. Some kale and basil and very stunted kohlrabi. This is an experiment. I overplanted. It's a mistake. It's normal. But my daughter transplanted some out from there to here. And those are doing fine. They're becoming nice big plants. They're not bulbing up though, which is a problem I've been having with this kohlrabi. So we'll see. I still have tomatoes in here. The long beans that never gave me anything, still never gave me anything. They're just dead. So I'm gonna reuse that pot and plant one of these guys up in there. Yeah, and I found a caterpillar on him because of course that like total caterpillar damage. So now they're with the chicken feed. Put it in their bucket for today. Yeah, still have tomatoes setting up. That's just an area of neglect. These are hot chili peppers that my boyfriend's sister's boyfriend gave us, and they're just starting to ripen now. Our season's just too short. And then just more pepper plants up there that are still surviving. And this is a broccoli I need to harvest today. I was hoping it would get bigger, but it is definitely starting to open. And so it is now past its prime, but it is setting off all these little shoots. So we will get a bunch of shoots from that broccoli. That is where my other pumpkin was, and I thought that it had ever set a pumpkin, so I pulled it and then found a pumpkin hiding in the corner, which is now in the house curing. Yeah, more tomatoes, some beets, my okra that never made an okra. It keeps starting to make flowers and then they don't open, so I think it's just too cold and we don't have enough light, so I'm gonna cut that out and just turn that into a beet bucket. We do have a little melon that is very close to ripening, and so I will take care of that. And this loofah plant is weirdly very happy and sending off all of these flowers, but I don't know that any of them got pollinated because like the males are not opening. So like because I keep having females open when there's no males, I don't know that we're actually gonna get a loofah. Like that guy to me looks kind of sad, so I'm gonna pull them and take that energy away from the plant, because yeah, that's just a rotting loofah on the ceiling. That's not going to help us. But yeah, but there's a ton of flowers. And so I'm just going to let this keep growing. And it's growing over here too. And there's some melons growing over here too. It's just a little bit chaos. And that's a snail that is going to get fed to the chickens. So yeah, I have some maintenance in here I need to do, which I know that's shocking. How would we ever have maintenance to do? But yeah, doing that maintenance helps deter the pests. Oh, and I have one bean plant still going, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, and then I've got peas interplanted that when the tomatoes died were supposed to take their place, and then the tomatoes didn't get diseased or died, so they're still going. So I just keep overplanting stuff. And then I thought that was broccoli, but it's cauliflower, and it's forming a teeny tiny little head inside, which is adorable and awesome. And then this cauliflower is getting bigger. It has more access to light and space, so it doesn't surprise me. But yeah, but it has a friend. And that was insurance early on because we had so much pest damage, but I should really just cut that guy out so that they have all the energy and food that they need to be successful. Yeah, that's the greenhouse. I'm gonna go feed the chickens so they stop yelling at me. Caterpillars. I'm gonna have to spray BT in the greenhouse after the third frost. Chicken snacks. Well, that's the last purple cabbage, and I'm planting it in this box in the back with all these little purple mushrooms that are coming up. This is the mature version of this. I think they are a kind of gold meat. But yeah, they're kind of cool. They are supposedly edible. I have not gotten the courage up to try them yet. So right now they're just really good compost, and I'm just gonna crunch this up and let this feed back into the garden. Some radishes I planted earlier this year that are not doing too hot because they're too close together. I didn't thin them out. Some yellow beets, some weed grass, just grass coming up through the bottom. But mostly we have all of these purple mushrooms in here and some very small cabbages, and oh look, a little slug, because of course this might be also why the radishes aren't doing so well. So I'm just gonna squish them. Kill him, get him out of here. But these little guys weirdly might be ready to harvest. A bug got the center of this cabbage, and so then when it died, it split off. Yeah, and there's just a little purple mushroom down there, which is kind of fun. Yeah, same thing. We got a bunch of little cabbages off this one because a bug got it. And then there's a kale in the corner, and I think this is a broccoli, and nasturtiums from earlier, and then just weeds that I have not been taking care of because can't be bothered. But mostly there is so many mushrooms in here, which is, this is accidentally becoming a mushroom farm, which is fine. Oh. And then it has a friend. Which I think we have flea beetle in here, but these are Chinese cabbage, so these I think are actually setting me Napa cabbage, and again, I should have thinned this out, but I didn't, so it's the story of my life. I just always overplant. And then there's one cabbage in that back corner, and then there was supposed to be Swedes and kohlrabi in here, but I don't know that they're ever gonna do anything. And then there's still a nasturtium, which I probably should have pulled out. Mostly I overplanted. Next year I think I'm going to start everything in cells, because when I broadcast seed I totally muck up the spacing. So yeah, learn from your past mistakes and suck less the next year. But same issue, parsnips and carrots. And then you can tell we had a killing frost because those are the state of my beans, and I'm just leaving them there to decay and feed the soil. But we are getting peas. Peas like the cold. But yeah, we've got a handful of peas. This one does not look particularly happy, so that will go to the chickens. And we're still getting Brussels sprouts. We have tons and tons of Brussels sprouts. Yeah. It's not a complete loss. Oh, and this guy is ready. He's about to split too. So this is my cabbage that gave us the biggest cabbage of the year. And then so far we've harvested a second little baby cabbage from here. And this will be the third. And then each of these is setting little cabbage heads. So I'm just leaving these because we're getting a bunch from this one plant that's in this bucket, and it's happy. I've put another one in here, and it's just, nothing's happening to it, just dwarfing. So that may be because this one is doing too well, and I shouldn't have put another cabbage in there. But yeah, I keep thinking this one's going to peter out and die at some point, and it's not. It just wants to keep making me teeny tiny little cabbages. So we've got a bunch in here, and because it's old, it's very resilient to the pests. And yeah, there were, like a silly person, I had 4 cabbages in here. We harvested the other 3, ate them. They were relatively small. They were delicious. And then this guy just, it is very well established. It's like the nicest way of saying it's a monster. So I don't know why this one is so happy, but I will take it. And it's, yeah, this one wanted to live, so it gets to live. And I will probably let this keep going till next year and let one of these set flower and maybe save the seed, because it's just prolific. And there are snails trying to eat all the old dead leaves that are in here because I haven't been taking care of it. But yeah, I really should spend more time in my garden. I haven't been just because, you know, kids and work. But yeah, eventually the coop will be closer to here and I can just take all that and throw it to the chickens. But that is not today. Yeah, but it's also kind of cool just to see the snails doing their job, right? Like the rotting cabbages. And then this just completely confirms Charles Downing's stuff about, like, if you leave the yellow leaves, you will get slugs and snails. So if you want to have less pest damage, maintain your plants, which I just haven't had time to do. But this guy is going to get cut off today and made into something. With that killing frost, it is time to pull my sunchokes. So maybe I'll do that later today. I did a strawberry kiddie pool because that seemed like a good idea. These are my starts that got attacked by slugs. And ironically now I think, like, I just neglected these. But now I think these are doing better than the stuff I direct sowed in that box. My garlic, which has lost its mind because I planted it too early, which is fine. A couple of volunteer peas in here, which, okay, random. And then the corn stalks just being used as mulch. A couple of garlics that got transplanted, some parsley coming up from underneath, cabbage that is just angry, some radishes that are angry, leeks and green onions in the back that are not as angry, but still not really happy. Yeah. Brussels sprouts and peas and a sad cabbage. So that's where we're at. Brussels sprouts, peas, and sad cabbages. This is my patch of parsley from last year. I just let it go to seed and then it reset. These are the Spets that I put out like in May. I transplanted these in the ground. There's just no nutrition here. My blackberries that are starting to go into dormancy, so I can move these up and we can start thinking about actually building the coop. Over there I put some onions. I don't know if you can hear the rain, but it's raining. Yeah. Then just voluntary blueberry, some nonsense. I pulled out the tomatoes and the cucumbers that never got anything going, but we have a bunch of these volunteer blueberry plants. So we've got a bunch of volunteer blueberry plants over here. So those will get pulled up and transplanted over. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a garden. And then this asparagus needs to get transplanted because this is going to be the new chicken coop. It's going to be over here. And then, yeah, it'll be good. We just need to have, time. Like anything else. We just need time. No one has any time. Oh, and then there's a kale and some peas and the last of a nasturtium and Brussels sprouts in there. I probably need to revitalize these boxes, but that is future Lauren's problem and not today Lauren's problem. Hey guys. Here you go. Those are the 3 babies that were in the house, and they are outside. They have integrated with the flock. That is the first baby. That's Red. She's enormous. But yeah, I still don't know the gender of these chickens, but I'm fairly certain Red is a girl. And then of the other ones, there was one that was developing slower. So I think we have 2 hens and a rooster, because the other 2 were developing the way Red was. So it's possible we now have 3 Swedish Blomhörner hens, or svenska Blomhörner hens, and 1 rooster, which that's actually a really good ratio if we wanted to keep them as their own flock, so that we didn't accidentally crossbreed the Silkies with the Swedish flower hens. But yeah, that's Aragorn. That is their mom. Aragorn adopted the first chicken, Red, and then I think she's taken all the babies because she's my best hen. She just is. So yeah, I'm gonna feed them so they stop staring at me like I'm evil. Well, this is just full of weeds and nasturtium and smalltron. The killing frost took out my butternut squash that had taken over this whole bed. And so I'm going to have to replenish and top this off and maybe do something about the ground elder that just keeps taking over these beds. Yeah. Mostly I think I just need to pull it all and give it to the chickens because it is edible. It is not an issue. And then we do have some stinging nettle in here that whenever it pops up, I put on gloves and remove it so that my bonus barn, who is squirrely and likes to run around barefoot in the yard, doesn't get nettle on his feet. But yeah, hey guys, chicken breakfast. I just threw a bunch of food around the coop and the run, hoping that that'll let everybody eat. But the babies need to be a little more aggressive, I think. But they're looking good and fat, so I think they're getting enough food. There's just competition. Yeah. It's good. And we got more random mushrooms everywhere. Yeah, I think Red is protecting them and letting them eat. So that's good. Yeah, Red's taking care of them. Yeah, they're so big. Like, they're not even a month old, I don't think. They're already this big. So, yeah. Those will potentially be meat birds someday, because the Silkies are not good eating. It's just not worth the work and the effort to try to eat a Silkie. we can use them for chicken stock, but which is something we may actually need to start doing because we have too many roosters of these chickens that you can see right here. That's Winifred and Gollum and Gandalf and Legolas and Sarah and Mary. And yeah, of all those chickens, Gollum, the little gray one running in the back, is the only hen. All the rest of them are roosters, and Legolas is the king rooster, so he would get to stay. But the Sanderson sisters, Sarah, Winifred, and Mary, they're almost 2 now, and would be a contender to potentially be dinner if we needed to thin the herd, or the flock rather. And it is raining really heavy, so I'm gonna grab the eggs and try to finish the front garden tour and get out of here. Alright, bucket, cabbages, beets, meh, stunted, sad, probably need fertilizer, but yeah, we'll see. Brussels sprouts in containers. They didn't really get that tall, but I think that's because the container was too small. But we have eaten a bunch of Brussels sprouts from them, so one of these is definitely looking better than the other. We'll see. More cabbages from the weirdness. That one we harvested the other day. I'm just letting it rot in place right now, which is probably a mistake. I should really clean this out and revitalize this bed. And then we have a couple Brussels sprouts in here too, which we're just letting grow on. Oh, and that's one of the bean plants that died that I missed. Because, of course, it's fine. My perennial kale ducks. And then this guy. Has chives and some winter salad and yellow beets and Chinese broccoli. And dinosaur kale and rosemary. And there was some dill and violets over there. So we've got some wild edibles, herbs. Oh, and there's also oxalis, wood sorrel in the back. Yeah, so we got some stuff on purpose, some stuff on accident, and then just the fun, the chaos and the fun. And hopefully we will get Chinese broccoli out of this bed. And then there's just a random kale and a carrot. Because why not? Yep. It's very hodgepodgey. Oh, and we still have some carrots in the back of this bed. Which maybe that will be part of breakfast today. I've just been letting them grow on because they've been crowded out. So we'll see if there's any sizable anything. Yeah, there's a couple decent sized ones in here. Oh, but yeah, and a worm. But yeah, there's some good ones in there. And there's some chicken snacks in there. But yeah, I should really have like a bucket of water or something to wash these off in. There's a lot of life in there. There's definitely a worm and maybe some snails. Oh, but yeah, of course, the first day I'm like fully kid free. It's just raining and sad because that's the rule. Okay. And then tomatoes and broccoli from the greenhouse. That's the potatoes I need to harvest, but it needs to be dry, which I probably should just take them into the greenhouse so that they stop getting rained on. This is the experiment bed. The peas are super mad and sad. The salsify's still going, kale's still going. Strawberry experiment, they're doing okay, and we have yellow beets growing on top. This strawberry experiment is doing better. It's actually giving us strawberries, which is kind of fun. And yellow beets, the kale that was in here died. It had cabbage, like root fly, right? And so it was not happy. The peas in this one They just never got a good structure. We harvested a pumpkin from this one, as well as a couple of like baby ones that I made into dinner. Salsify is doing fine, and I put some beet seeds in there, and we are getting some beets. So that'll work. Our raspberries are done because of the frost, but for some reason, these guys still okay. They didn't mind the frost. So we might get some like weird October raspberries, and it's still setting out flowers. Like, this plant's just drunk. It's fine. That I'm just waiting for it to fully die so that I can pull it out. That nasturtium lost its mind and took over the whole garden this summer. And there's still parsley coming up. I seeded, if you can see there, there's some little brassica starts coming up, which is pak choi. So I broadcasted a bunch of seeds in there and was hoping that they would outcompete the parsley and the weeds. And so far, they're getting it together. I put some beets in earlier this year and they did not. And then there's little Brussels sprouts, scarlet kale, and we have our broccoli from earlier. It's so silly how much it's raining. My pea bucket that I didn't put drainage in, or bean bucket, which is fine. They're all dead. I don't care that it's flooding. This is more kohlrabi. These ones are getting better. They're actually starting to form bulbs. So we might have those for Christmas, which would be nice. These peas are much happier. Yeah, we've just got lots of little stuff going on. And that scarlet kale is very happy. Brussels sprouts and cabbages from when I did not know how to space these guys because I had no idea how big they were. So, but we are getting little teeny tiny Brussels sprouts off that guy, and like relatively decent sized Brussels sprouts off this guy. So yeah, they're small, but they're tasty and they're super good. I harvested the twins here. I harvested one cabbage, and then this one is just now starting to set up. That's another broccoli, which they're just reaching the end of their life cycle. The kales are doing great, so those are fine. They can stay forever. But this broccoli has seen better days, and I've been harvesting side shoots off of them for 2 months, so they probably should get taken out, but I love them, and so I've just been letting them carry on. But I think they're done flowering, so I should probably take them out and put something else in these beds. But yeah, like, it's kind of banana pants. I transplanted some pak choi into this one that were already established from inside. They're doing okay, but I think the self-seeded ones over there are actually doing much better. So yeah, or direct sowed rather than self-seeded. They didn't self-seed. I am tired. But yeah, and we still have calendula and strawberry plants. This one has set out a million runners. So if I'm not careful with this bed, this strawberry will just take over the entire thing. Okay. My blueberries that still need to get transplanted. 2 more Brussels sprouts. And then this has been getting damaged by stuff. This had some cabbages in it, and some pak choi, and some peas. And the peas are doing okay, but that's about it. Oh, and last but not least, in the garden, these were my tomatoes that I just cut off. There's a little rosemary in there that will probably die. I put a cabbage in here with the rest of my perennial chard. It's a broccoli and a kale and some beets in the back. This is the cabbage that keeps getting attacked by pests and then refuses to die, so I just keep letting it live on. This has a bunch of salad and so there are cabbages in here and salad. So some of these have been destroyed by bugs because of course, and we will see what happens. Hopefully we will get a harvest of everything. I don't know that we will, but hopefully we will get a harvest. Oh, and then this one has some dinosaur kale, and again the ground elder is just popping up in this bed. I seeded beets, but I think the birds got them, and then just competing with the ground elder didn't do very well. There's a pak choi back there, and then a cabbage here that's been there for a while, but hopefully we'll get a Christmas cabbage out of that. and my phone might explode because it's just very wet. It's very, very wet. Welcome to Swedish fall/winter. It's just rainy. It's beautiful, but it's rainy, and I'm gonna go inside and make some breakfast. And yeah, I was gonna go fishing today. I don't think that's in the cards, but that's okay. Maybe I will do something more productive in the house. Thanks for watching. Sorry for my finger dripping into frame. Hello. It's just making it weird. Someday I will have better equipment, but today is clearly not that day. Serve the hug.